Check, audio check. Welcome Mr. Hodes to the house. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the late start today. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media universe. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show we call what? We call DYOR Live. That's right. It says right there in the masthead. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. Mr. Pedro Garcia, welcome to the show today. It is March 9th, 2026. If you can believe it, the year's about a third over almost already. Daylight savings time has come back on. Parts of Canada have now, the west coast of Canada has voted to stay on daylight savings time all year round. Enough of this stuff of getting dark in the winter time. They said, we want to play in the evening, so they're done with standard time. All the people that live on the west coast now are going to have a different routine in the winter when they trade, because they're gonna have different times now. Years and years of trading at a certain time. They'll probably live on standard time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of the show today, what's going on? As you may suspect, it's war and more war, and how it affects the market. Specifically, when we started bombing, a bunch of Bitcoin hash rate went off the air, ladies and gentlemen. The world has always speculated how much Bitcoin, the government of Iran, and specifically the Iranian Republican Guard controls, or Revolutionary Guard, whatever you want to call it. And when they started bombing and took out the power supplies, 10% of the world's hash rate disappeared in about 20 minutes. So that gives a pretty good clue. Obviously, other people in the region probably turned their miners off, thinking that they might get in it. But if we can just round it right up to 10%, That's a lot of Bitcoin. We'll talk about that later. But markets are going crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, Pedro just pointed out to me, I haven't watched it today. I watched oil go up to $120 a barrel last night, moving at like $1 a tick. It was just amazing. And it raced back down today under $100. Mr. Trump probably said, get the price down, so it went down. I don't know what's causing the market. Ladies and gentlemen, BTC still struggling in that area that it's been for ages now. As you can see over my head, 69.118 thousand for Bitcoin. Not doing much in this time of war. No flight to safety, no dumpathon. Just traveling in that idiot box that it has been for, months now. Obviously, we've seen 70 something. We've seen as low as 59,000. But it's really of nobody's interest right now. There's talks about it going to zero, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, it's not going to zero, but can it go back down, or is it going to go back up to retain its former glory by the end of this month of what Pedro was saying the other day of 90,000 or something? I can't remember exactly what you said, Pedro. Anyway, let's get to Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro, what's going on in the world of Bitcoin? Then we'll talk about oil and the rest of the stuff that's moving and grooving.
Got a lot of stuff going on here. I think the most important thing to be paying attention with Bitcoin is the fact is that we're seeing a good movement. We're seeing higher highs and higher lows. Even though we're not seeing a ton of volume come in, anytime we saw buyer days, we saw a lot of volume coming on those days, as you can see over here. Also, when we're looking at BTC here, one of the things that I'm looking at, and I think it's really important to be paying attention to, is the fact that it's putting in lower or higher highs and higher lows, right? We can see here that we have these coming in. So with that said, even though we may be seeing a die-off of volume, important to pay attention to is our volume today is already higher than what we saw over the weekend, which is something we should see, but it's just the fact is that they're starting it that way, right? Like they're like, anytime we can buy in when the price is low, we want to buy more than what we normally would. And that's what I'm looking at right now. It's just the fact that it's sitting there, it's pushing hard for it. That's what it's trying to make happen, where you can see it's gradually now putting in that lower bottom here. Now, again, I could be wrong. Like I always say, if we continue higher, that next level here is going to be around that 80 to 90,000 area. Okay. So we've got a couple liquidity areas, as well as we literally have supply areas. We have supply areas sitting right here around that 77 to 75 area. We talked about that. We came in, I thought we were going to hit it, but we didn't. We pulled back. The biggest thing to be paying attention to is, what aren't we creating? We're not creating supply wicks on the daily chart. So to me, when I'm looking at that, I'm going, is it a clear shot up? And yes, we do. We have a clear shot up here. Now, yes, we are fighting with that 8 on the weekly. Excuse me real quick. Sorry, I had a little frog there for a second. So
yeah, it's all right.
So you can see here that on the chart, like it wants to push up. Now, my biggest concern here on the weekly is that we aren't, we could be testing this to come up, hit that 8, come back down, hit the lower high, or hit the higher low, excuse me, and then see it go up again. Now, I don't want that to happen, but most likely that may happen. But that's the key, what I'm looking at. But my biggest thing that I'm excited about with BTC is that anytime we have a buyer day, we're seeing a lot more volume come in where they're buying, and we're not seeing a buy in the middle at the top of the chart. We're seeing that type of movement at the bottom of the chart, which means that the environment in which we're seeing buying come in is the appropriate place we want to see buying. And so that's what excites me. That's what I like, especially when I'm looking at a chart.
Now, Pedro, what's the that chart doesn't seem to show it right, unless that's the futures chart, unless that's the CME chart. But the volume over the past month. Is there any sort of trend to it? To me, it seems like it's getting lower because over here on the side it says 52 billion traded. Usually at showtime, right about now we've got 60 to 65 billion on normal days.
Well, like I said, one of the things that the idea that we're seeing it go up first thing in the month, okay, which I always talk about. If it goes up first thing in the month, typically we're going to see a sell-off right towards the end of the month. But what I'm saying though is that when we're seeing it go up, and remind you, this right here, besides this day, right, a lot of the other days here that we saw high volume come in were also part of last month. So it's important to be paying attention to that. When every time we see this month starting to push up, right here, like on the first, we see it go up, or we see it go down, then we see it go up. It's going, I believe, we're gonna see a N pattern, which is basically up, down, and up, right? Like the capital N. And so that's what I feel like we're seeing here. Boom. We'll see it go up, we'll see it come down, and then we'll see it go up here. So for me, and that's not a like trading term, an N pattern. That's just Pedro. Like that's how I personally go through and identify a pattern that I use. Like it first goes up to go down, right? Or
right.
We'll talk about an M pattern, right? Where we're seeing it go up to go down, to go up to come down, right? Like M, right? So because they're looking for stops, they're pulling stops, they're pulling liquidity, right? They pulled the liquidity to go here first part of the month to bring it down to come and pull liquidity here, push it higher to go up to this liquidity up in this level here. So you have this situation, boom. And then you just start to see that, and that's what I'm looking for, to see us play higher. So, and the reason why I'm excited is because we're seeing every time it moves higher that we see a lot of volume. We see a lot of buy volume coming in, which means they're putting their positions to bring it back down to go back up.
Down to go back up. What about just down?
Could be. I listen. I'm not Pedro Damas, no matter how much those guys claim to be. But I am. But I'm pretty sure that they want to see this go up. I'm almost positive that the institutions are going through. They're buying as if they can. If they see a lot of sellers coming in, they're going to be buying up those sellers. If they see a lot of selling come in, they're buying up those buys. So to me, I look at that and I'm just like, it's a clear sign for myself to sit there and say, yeah, they want to push this thing up. So ultimately, what I think is more interesting is the crude oil chart. Crude oil chart was crazy. You said on Friday, was it Friday? That you're like, we could easily, if they shut down the Straits of Hormuz, that they could literally like we could see this thing go from 80s to 120 like a blink of an eye, like the blink of an eye. And I was like, there's no way, that's crazy. No, you were right. You're dude, 30%. What was it? How much was that? On
40%
Friday,
went 80 to 120.
No, more than that. It's more than that. Because 80 to 120, that's 40.
Yeah, it's not exactly right.
It's just, to me, I think you're right. Yeah, 40%. Yeah. So, but it's still just crazy to me that it went to 120.
And it was going up. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, oil, like if it went from $67 to $68.50 one day, people would be like, ooh, big move in the oil today, up $1. And it was going up $1 a minute for a while there, just like boop, boop. Like not even hitting the intermediate ticks, just boop.
That's $1,000 a tick. Or excuse me, that's $1,000 a contract for every tick. Like that is, dude, that is so nuts. I mean, that is nuts. I wonder how much money, because you know that these guys over in Saudi Arabia trade these futures.
Sure. No, but
And
all the company, oil companies, they all have trading desks.
I mean, you think they're shorting this? Like, they know, there's no way this is going to continue. So once they saw that round number around 120, they were like, yeah, we're shorting this. Like, there's no way it can continue higher. You just saw it coming, just like drop. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know what I find interesting is when you look at the amount of volume, like right here, when the price was around 67 to around 72, look the amount of volume that came in. Now, granted, this is the beginning of March, right? But like, there are a lot of buyers, especially right here, around that $75 mark. Those are let's look the amount of volume of buys right here. That is crazy.
What month is oil? Are they trading H or
March.
J? March.
March it would be the next. It is the J contract. Okay, real quick.
Once again, my API is not working.
There we go. Come on, buddy. You can do it. J is April. So March is H. Yeah. So they're doing April right now. Let me pull up to see where the majority of the volume is sent at the CME right now. Really interesting. Who do we got in the audience today?
Mr. Hodes is in the audience, starting a new project that because it's a charitable thing for it's a way to bring in money to his vet token. He's actually started a legal charity, 501 here in the U.S. It's called a 501c3 charity. That's a section of the tax code that allows charities to be tax exempt for certain things, not for everything. I told him I would mention the project here if he comes by and talks about it. And he's here somewhere, but we'll get to him later in the show if he's around. He's not coming on the air, just to talk about it. Always have time for supporting veterans' causes.
Holy crap, that's crazy. Look at the volume, dude. To like double the volume. That's just such a big deal. Look at the volume, dude. It's nuts.
Think of the money the exchange is making on that volume. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I remember when I started tinkering around with futures and just seeing that I'm paying like $2 or $3 for a trade, and that's nothing for me. I was like, wow, that's a lot more than Bitcoin or crypto. But people are doing 1,000-lot contracts. I mean, of the main contract, not a mini contract or a micro contract. I mean, it's. I mean, the CME's like this. Ka-ching, war? Oh, that's terrible. You youngsters probably don't even know what that motion means. When you go to the cash register and they used to have to press the buttons and then pull the lever. Well, you guys probably don't know that.
Ching. Well, we got an older crowd here, so they know exactly what we're talking about. Oh, yeah. No, but I mean, I think what's more interesting, I think what's interesting is just the fact that when you look at this market, we went from gold, right, then to silver, and then from silver, we saw it go hyperbolic. And then we saw it kind of come down. And then the next one, we saw the S&P go crazy, right? And then from there, we saw, now we're watching crude oil. I mean, it's almost, it feels like slots, right? Like they're hopping from one thing to another. Bitcoin is, like it's just kind of in the drudges right now, right? There's a bit of a,
in
from
the
120.
drudges.
Oh, by the way, I went and saw the Elvis movie. Did you see that?
Elvis movie?
Yeah.
No.
Man, it's actually good, dude.
What?
I didn't realize he was such a goofball.
Wait, hold on. What
Sorry.
just popped in your mind to talk about the Elvis movie?
Oh,
was it me singing?
You're in the drudges, and then I go in the ghetto, and then my brain went, oh, Elvis, and then
blue suede shoes.
There you go, ADD right here, kicking in, babies. Let's go.
Hey, welcome all of the X viewers. Thanks for joining us. I see that our viewership from X just gave a little pop. Thank you very much. I really appreciate joining us. Remember to put us on open. If you're watching on your desktop, right-click on us and open us up another window. Listen to us. And then you can doom scroll all you want. If you're watching on your phone, just put us on and put your phone down. Listen to us. Stop doing everything else.
Now, I think what's interesting is when you look at the amount of volume and the people that are buying, right? Like, let's look at this here real quick, right? Now, you see the majority of the buys are sitting around that 80,000, 70,000 area is really where we see a lot of it. And potentially, like you saw it climb up here to that 76,000. You saw it come down, find support on the 50, which is basically that daily 8 around here, right? Boom, we saw it come in. And then we see the 4-hour kick in, where it starts to play off of that 8-period moving average here. But now that we've like crushed this 8, now we're seeing the sell-off come in. Like, one thing I always say to people, whenever you have a gap where it literally jumps crazy amount, where it's 91 to 97, I'm talking almost 5% right there. It's a dramatic move where there should be residual buyers sitting right here. And so for me, like, I'm looking at it going like, are we going to see a buy? We're closing the gap here. We're seeing buyers already start to step in. So this might not be over, like this push might not be over. So we'll see what happens here, but we're kind of playing in this critical point where it's either going to move up or move down. So it's going to be really interesting to see where we're sitting here.
Well, I mean, if there isn't something more news driven than the price of crude, as we all know that there's no change in production. I mean, macro change in production. There's no big change in supply.
Yep.
There's little seasonal stuff and that type of stuff. And this is, not just speculation, but worry about, somebody like China not being able to get all of their oil when needed. And so they're going to buy it up where they can, driving the price up. So it's a lot of speculation going on. And of course, speculation prices come off, as fast as they come on. And so like we saw that 120 go up, or the price of crude oil go up to 120 last night, and it's already back down quickly. And so that volatility, I mean, first of all, that clears out a lot of the historical orders up higher, mm-hmm. And when it comes back down, makes it easier for it to go up again. And that's not good if it's easier for it to go up when the war ends. We want it to come down. We don't want this to be a driver of inflation. The news, they're talking about airlines. Just worrying about jet fuel. The price of jet fuel skyrocketed the other day. One reason is the speculators, but also the other reason is they're consuming a lot of it. War, you consume amazing amounts of jet fuel. The U.S. Air Force is the number one consumer of jet fuel in the world outside commercial airlines, and they burn a lot of it, and they're burning more of it, and they're taking a lot of it off the market too, because a lot of Iran's fuel supplies, which they obviously either make or black market themselves, still reduces global supply, because we all know that Iran doesn't, they export, they import, sanctions or not, and the airlines are going to see it. That means more inflation, means less travel. I can't possibly tell the audience how many places will affect it by higher prices, because oil is going up. Literally everything you own is made with oil, not just the energy to make it, but like everything on my body has oil in it, because there's some sort of plastic in it of some sort. This is like nice and cotton. Yeah, but there's all kinds of buttons and stuff on here. Oil. This shirt is wool. It has dyes in it. The colors, oil. My jeans, colors, oil. Everything that you do. The structure, everything that you're looking at on your desk is made with oil. All of that will be more expensive soon. Soon. And Pedro, we have a Fed rate coming up, and the big speculation was that another cut. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if they raised the rates. If they just said, what, this war and the cost of oil, and we're just going to be proactive and raise it a quarter point. I haven't looked at Polymarket to see if they're thinking the same thing, but it's definitely not. I'd haste to say that it's definitely not going to lower the rates because of war and inflation. Wars do what? They allow governments to quickly spend money that they may or may not have on hand. They incur debt. They buy bonds with debt. They
Speaking of bonds.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at any bonds lately. They're probably nuts.
Yeah. So
price
look at
is
this
down.
right here.
This yields or price?
Yeah. So no, this is bonds. So bonds literally gapped down, went down, hit a supply area. Especially when you look at the 30. Let's go to the 10-year here. 10-year here is, you can see that we gapped down, came down to this area of liquidity here, where this demand area, and then you see it sell off. So it's just like one of those, or excuse me, not sell. You see it get bought up as soon as it comes down, which I just thought was really interesting. We had the gap up on the, I believe it was the Fed day. I forget exactly when this was. We see the gap up, and then we see the sell off. And as we're coming down into this demand area here. Ooh, what was that?
Email notification. I forgot to turn the system notifications off.
It's okay. You can see here we came down into this daily area here. And so we, with all the news of what's happening with the rates and everything, if you look at rates gapped up and then shot down, which was really another interesting. when you look at the 10-year yield here, literally it closed on Friday at 7.13. I believe that's when it was. Not 4.13%, and it gapped all the way up to 4.20. And now and then it just sold back off to even below Friday's open, which I just thought was crazy. I was like, holy moly. Like that you talk about a move, right? Like it's a fairly big move, the gap up drop. So we'll see what happens here, but it definitely put a kind of a squeeze here on those longs that are trying to push up the market. So, we'll see what happens here for the 10-year rate and the 2-year rate. But 2-year rate is similar. You can see, right, we closed down here at the 355 area. We gapped all the way up to the 362 area, and then we just sold back off to around the open on Friday. So it's kind of crazy to see this big, huge push. A lot of these are filling the gaps now. So we're going to see if these sell-offs are going to continue or these buys for the bonds are going to continue here. So it's going to be really interesting to see as we move. Also, US dollar saw a bit of a spike up because of it. Everybody's, and it's crazy is they're fleeing into assets that are typically, historically, safety. And so you can see here that people are running into the US dollar. They're buying it, right? For it almost feels like safety, almost like they know that the old way of doing things, America might potentially continue. And so when America's might starts to continue, typically there's a lot of push into technology, a lot of push into American sovereignty and business, and a heavy hand saying we're going to take this over. Either you're going to get paid for it, which is a very small amount, or we'll just take it. Your decision. And the world knows this. We had this same type of movement from 1950 onwards up until 2000, 2000. When did so Obama, Bush, so Clinton. So Clinton was in the 90s, right? Even then, I mean, when we did the transatlantic connection there, not connection, treaty, right? There was that movement that happened where America thought they were going to get a big piece of China. This is why Clinton opened that up, saying, you know what? What's up?
Yeah, and look what we got. They got a big piece of us.
Yeah. And so opposite. So America's just like, oh, nah, we're taking this back. Like, this is where I think this is all movements on what is happening in China, right? Like, I think China realizes, like, I think America was trying to hint towards China, like, you need to back up, dude, because we can make your life very hard. You need to chill out. And I feel like I was talking with somebody else who is from Morocco, and he was he goes, what do you think this is all about? I go, this is all about China. He goes, exactly. And the guy does. He's an importer of like the best olive oil there is in the world. Like, he imports it. I mean, that, the grade A top 100 shelf, like the top shelf is from Morocco. So we're going back and forth. And one of the things that we were saying is, he goes, this America just doesn't do stuff. Everybody wants to sit there and think Trump is an idiot. And there's a guy, he's from Morocco, and he's Islamic. He is, he very much follows the Quran and everything. And he just simply says, he goes, look, we're not gonna get in the way of America. Like, it's just, this is a fight between China and America, and there's going to be a lot more proxy wars that are going to happen. And I'm sitting there just listening to him, and this man imports a ton of olive oil, and all he's looking for is just saying, where can we profit from here? What doors of doors of business
of war?
Yes, business of war. Yeah, what doors are going to open up so that we can actually buy and sell things, and that we didn't necessarily have access to prior. And I'm sitting there just going, like, this is crazy. Like everybody sees it, and America's mad, and a large portion of American people are mad. But he just said, he goes, that America is going to be better off because of this financially, like, down the road. And I'm like, probably. Like, nobody knows, nobody can read the green leaves, but if America has anything really to say about it, we're gonna go through and we're just gonna put the elbow down on people.
Now we're going around the world being the world police. It's really funny how there's a big narrative. Everyone hates the U.S. They act unilaterally. They don't participate. And yet all this business happens in Venezuela, and all the people that were like, all the European nations and all that kind of stuff that were like, oh, the U.S., we're not in Spain and blah, blah, blah. Spain's prime minister's acting like a big idiot right now. And
I think it's a game.
Yeah, I think it's a game. It's a game you don't want to play with Mr. Trump, because you just end up with just a whole bunch of egg on your face. But in the end, everyone's just kind of sitting around going,
waiting for the money to open up.
Yeah, well, they're just like, you know what? They all hate Iran's government. Every country in the world does. That's a normal, Western country. They're like, we're tired of spending all of our money going around the world battling these proxy battles with your terrorist asshole friends, and we want this to stop. And you guys have to stop. And we're not going to stop. I'm the supreme leader. Okay, boom. New supreme leader. Guess how long his life's going to last? It won't be long before they're like, well, we got to get another one. And the countries of Europe are just standing by, just going like that. I mean, normally, like, if we had invaded Greenland, they would be flipping out. They'd be like, oh my God, the world order is upset. And we wouldn't have had to even shoot anyone. We would have just sent like a couple of military police up there and just planted the flag, But we go to Iran with the Israelis, who arguably the whole world now hates because they just don't want to get killed by people. And everyone's just standing by, and just not doing anything and not complaining, really. Even Keir Starmer in the UK who is just, everything that comes out of his mouth is like the dumbest thing ever to have been said by a human being. And he's just like, we're not involved in the war. It's only Americans. They're evil. It's awful. They shouldn't be doing this. Peace, 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 peace. All of a sudden, he's like, it's not really a bad thing, and we're probably going to send some ships down there to help out for, just in the whole Strait of Hormuz thing. They're going to be shooting missiles at those Iranian assholes too. You know why, Pedro?
Because they want to be able to say, we did it. We fought.
Two reasons. So they can sit there with Mr. Trump later and get a share of the contracts that are going to come out of it. And two, the British military is a kind of a shell of what it formerly was. They eviscerated it. They basically took most of their military budget, not most, but a big chunk of their military budget, and moved it into benefits for all of the immigrants that they brought in. So they traded their security for lack of security. And what's left, they don't have any practice. The British military is a very young organization. A lot of people, they have a high turnover rate. And so they need practice. They need practice running their systems. They need their expensive aircraft carrier with 2 towers on it is had to go back in for refit a number of times because it's kind of a lemon. But they need to get out and do things to practice with it in case there is a larger global war and stuff like that. So they're lemon, and it turns out, what the hell was that? My lights is going nuts. Also in the French, Macron has been just like on Trump's ass for hours. All of a sudden he's like, well, we've got an amphibious, they have an aircraft carrier that's kind of like the Marines version. We think we'll send it down to the region just to guarantee shipping and all that. They're going to get in on the action too. So after this, they can sit there and go, yeah, well, we helped out the coalition, NATO, this and that. I find it very, very, very interesting. Hold on a sec. I got to adjust the light here. Let's do that with you on the charts. There we go. My lights that I've had for years, it's decided to become flashy.
It's letting me know it's to the end of its life. And
yeah, my TV that I have over here, it's a 50-inch TV that's on its side. It's a vertical. I use it as a vertical monitor. It's a really old TV that I appropriated from someone for free. It started turning off after about 5 minutes on, and I was like, motherfucker. I'm like, and I just 1 minute on Grok, and it said, oh, that model. It said, just turn your backlight down and it'll stop overheating. Sure enough, works fine now for a couple of days. Thank you, Grok. What you reading there, Pedro?
I have a brother of mine who is an old foster brother of mine, and he...
I didn't actually need the answer. You're sitting there doing this. Looking like Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, sorry. Yeah, I'm proud of this guy. He struggled with alcohol, lost his wife, lost the house, kids, and he just fell into a hard time. And we were talking one day, and we don't really talk much. And I just simply said, bro, I love you. I really love you. He was, a little drunk, and I told him, I said, you got to stop this. Like I can't be in your life if you're like this, because it becomes wearisome.
No toxic people. That's the rule.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just that, it's not even the toxic side of it. It's just that I can't celebrate you in this, because when I contact and communicate with you, it kicks a dopamine hit while you're drunk. And so it's not about the toxic. It's the fact that if I allow those dopamine hits to hit you from the conversation of somebody you really care about and love, it hardens the wiring of getting drunk, and then you can connect with people, right? Versus actually being sober and connecting with somebody. It's a huge dopamine hit, because we're all literally controlled by dopamine, serotonin, epinephrine, oxytocin. Those are the feel-good drugs. And so I just saw some dope stuff because I'm looking to post some stuff, and I'm just proud of this dude. Anyways, I freaking love when people start to just kill it.
As my grandmother used to tell me, Pedro, anyways is not a word. That's how she'd say it. She'd look at me and she'd go, I'd say, anyways, Grandma, and she'd look at me and she'd go, well, anyways is not a word. And even when she was 80, she said that to me, and I'm like, God, I've been listening to her for 40 years, and I still screw it up. Look who we got here. We have Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. Truth coming to light. I can't wait to see what comes out of this account. Thanks for joining us. Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. Really appreciate it. I wish I could see this meme better, the profile picture better.
What is this?
This
has got to be easy. Is our?
I bet not. I bet not. We'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Just for whoever you are, Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. Just we have a regular. If you're not Jesus, we have a regular viewer that frequently
that's fun.
Uses similar names.
Yeah,
surprises us with them. But this one's just a little bit different. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Let us know how you found us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a question about the financial markets, the economy, crypto, digital assets? Let us know. Even if you think it's a scam, a Ponzi scheme, let us know.
We may not be right. We might be filling you with just a bunch of malarkey, but we'll at least make you laugh and have a good time. Hey.
Exactly.
Dude, cracking myself up. Anyways, so what I think was really interesting also about this whole entire circumstance is there are also a lot of other old allies of ours that haven't necessarily been like again earlier I was speaking about Morocco, and in Morocco they are doing some stuff that is so interesting that I'm kind of they're almost waiting, like giddy, to get in and do business into new markets that are opening up that weren't necessarily there. And I just thought that was so interesting, like hearing him speak about this. And then also on the other end, also talking about, there's three. I was like,
wrong button.
At first I was like, am I? Because sometimes your eyes will, like as you get older, to all you young,
I know what you're talking about.
That are listening, you start to see things. You're like, what's going on? My eyes. Anyways, but I just thought that was really interesting. And the other part that I think is going even more is America, or are the frenemies of America going to become more docile as America starts to ramp up its heavy-handed Monroe Doctrine down south, as well as over in Europe and or South Africa, or in Africa? Like there's a lot of connections over there that China has that they've developed, and America has been just watching. I wonder how many of those are going to be like, we're taking note here, and do we really want to play this game, right? Like, so it's kind of interesting. I wonder if we're going to see a lot of those contracts just get null and void and just kind of push China out of those agreements that they've had with a lot of countries in Africa. Almost every country in Africa has had deals and or getting into debt with them. So it's really interesting to see, will America just come in and just be like, nah, this is ours back, like just basically, null and void those contracts, like what they've seen with Iran, like we saw with Venezuela. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. Really interesting to see what happens here. And it was funny is I didn't lead this guy. I was just wondering because he, when we were talking, he's just like, what this is all about, right? And I was like, ooh. And because I'm looking business. I'm not going to bring my politics when I'm dealing with business, right? And he was like, it's China. And I was like, yep. Absolutely. This is all about them, and just kind of, proxy through proxy wars, almost like we saw with what we saw with Russia. I don't know. Well, also, I think we're going to see, I don't think we've heard the last of Russia. I think Russia is going to take a big part in this as well.
No, Pedro, what was the story I saw today? There was a secret alliance that Russia was feeding Iran something. And somehow they got exposed or whatever. Any idea what that was about? I'll look it up, but I want to not overload my system here right now.
Okay, well, first kind of talk about it a little bit, and then I will look it up. Give me 1 second.
The topic. We'll morph to the topic of the day here, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of the day is obviously the war and its effects on the market, but especially on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. And one of the interesting things that we saw during the nuclear strikes, or not the nuclear strikes, but the strikes against Iran's nuclear bunkers a couple of months ago, was a blip in the Bitcoin mining hash rate. It went down during that because we took out a bunch of their power lines. We didn't bomb their cities, but it turns out a lot of long distance power transmission lines went through to and from and through the nuclear labs because they use a lot of power. And BTC saw a drop in its hash rate. The difficulty got easier because of it. I found that to be very interesting. So again, this time I went back and looked at when the war started. It turns out, where's my article here? No, that's not the article. Turns out 10% of the Bitcoin hash rate once again went offline when we started bombing it. And so I'm like personally attributing that to Iran. Obviously, other people may have turned it off at that time. Like maybe someone in Qatar, they're like, all right, we need electricity for that, this kind of stuff. We're not going to mine. So maybe it's 8% or something like that. But just for a round number, it's 10% of mining. And assuming they get all their rewards, that's a lot. That's there's 450 Bitcoin a day mined now, I think.
Really?
It was 900, then it halved, and so it's 450. And so that could be 4.5 million, but now with the price down, it's just over $3 billion a day. And the think around who owns all the Bitcoin mining, I'm sure there's lots of individual kids doing it, sneaking around the system that can get internet access. But the people who have the fast internet and guaranteed power at subsidized rates, they pay only $1,300 per Bitcoin mined in electricity costs, because right, or zero. I mean, if it's the government, they may just get a free line from the power station and run it anyway at no official cost, no cost that's accounting, which means that then that cost is just pushed to the people and they get less benefit out of the oil revenues or whatever. I don't even know how their government makes any money. But if the government's taking it for free, that means the people suffer from it or have a lower standard of living. But that means that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard or Republican Guard, whatever you call them, is the one in control of the Bitcoin mining. And they're a group that can wreak havoc on that country. They go around and whooping and beating and killing people to hold them into that theocratical line, theological, whatever the term is. And they can take that $3 million, if they can turn it into cash, they can take that $3 million every day. $15 million a business week. That's a lot of money for a organization like that. A lot of perks, a lot of reasons that they would want to stay in power and not give that up. I mean, it's also, on the other hand, it's very possible that some of the strikes that took out their headquarters, their leaders and stuff, blew up a bunch of cold storage. Imagine if it comes out that Iran has been doing this for a long time, and they, in essence, haven't been selling it. They've been hoarding it, waiting for the day, or at least, we'll just say they sold some to have some money and kept the other half of it, or they sold half, kept half. That's still a big chunk of money that got blown up and vaporized if the cold storage wallets went bye-bye. If you recall, a while ago, one of Iran's crypto exchanges got hacked by I wonder who, and nothing got stolen, but all their money got sent to dead addresses. Everything that the people could get their hands on before they turned off the internet access to the exchange, they just sent them right, all the Solana, all the ETH, all that kind of stuff, right to dead addresses. in this strike, Pedro, it's possible that a whole bunch of Bitcoin went to a dead address. Literally meaning got blowed up, sir. You know, if your passkeys, or what do you call it in Bitcoin land, your private keys are on stored on a the fuck are those things? Ledger or Trezor or whatever the heck it's called, and that thing gets blowed up. Unless you got those written down somewhere else, which, you know, those are gone forever. But the problem is the wallet may have gotten blown up, but the people that knew where the backup of the passphrase was, they got blown up also. So it's possible that during this event, some more Bitcoin scarcity was created. Very interesting, very interesting.
Whoa.
But the fact that sanctions or not, you know, countries still have to operate. And not being soft on Iran and saying, oh, we shouldn't sanction them. I'm meaning their lives still go on, whether the United States approves them or not. And as a result, Iran has developed self-sufficiency. They have a manufacturing industry now. They don't rely on Europe or the U.S. or South America. They rely on little on China, because China will still trade with them. But they develop the ability to build things themselves, and that they still need cash for that. They need foreign reserves because they need to be able to buy machinery and stuff like that on the secondary market or whatever for their manufacturing. They can't make it all. They certainly don't make computer chips, and so they need hard cash. One way to get that: Bitcoin. Mine it, steal it. I mean, I'm sure the Iranians are like the North Koreans with their theft rings and that type of stuff. Thank you on Twitch to Pathetic Spores for commenting. I'm not going to read your comment, but put it up. But thanks for following the show and offering us cheap viewers.
We appreciate the engagement.
We appreciate the engagement very much. Thank you.
You and have a good day. I sent you it from Ground News onto Telegram. It's actually pretty cool that it's so strong central. The actual, and it was actually really interesting. I'll go into it. Russia shares intelligence with Iran to target U.S. forces, officials say. This is more central. It's actually through Ground News. I don't know if you guys know anything about Ground News, but it's a good website that basically lets you know if this is being spun by far left or far right or more centrist. I find it really interesting. So I'll read through it here, which I thought was really interesting. On March 6, 2026, two U.S. officials told the AP that Russia provided Iran with information that could help Tehran strike American warships and aircrafts. Which is crazy. Moscow tightened ties as it sought missiles and drones for its war in Ukraine, while Tehran supplied. Shit, I always mess it up.
Vengo de Popular.
Tehran. Iran.
I knew you weren't
Israel.
Mexican. I knew you were a fucking Iranian terrorist motherfucker.
Hey, don't hate, bro. Don't make me put on my my baby blue shirt over here and have you put on your pink, but it's all good.
Well, it'll come out tomorrow.
A space-based tracking showed Moscow about 110 military satellites, and Iran around 13 enabled imagery and target monitoring of the USS Grant R. Ford. So I just think it's crazy. The White House basically has downplayed the report of Russia shared intelligence with Iran, while U.S. Central Command Admiral Brand Cooper said this is unacceptable and will not go unanswered.
Well, I get two responses to the hype around this. Of course, Russia is going to trade that type of stuff for other things. Maybe they want another whole package of drones to send over onto the Ukrainians, so they'll say, hey, we'll tell you where all these guys are located. But the Americans know this. We know that Russia would do this. We spend billions of millions of dollars, have thousands of people working in the military on counter psyops. Russia may be going, yeah, the aircraft They're right there. But meanwhile, we're in the back room changing it. We've hacked their systems so that they get bad information. There's also the fact that none of this intelligence did any good. Iran didn't target. There's not one aircraft carrier that took a hit. There's not one destroyer, frigate, no Aegis class destroyers, no submarines have been hit. We'll talk about that submarine thing again in a minute. But nothing happened. And I was watching Ryan Macbeth, his video the other day about it. He goes, it's one thing to give something. It's one thing to give somebody information. He said, but it's another thing to be able to act on it. He said, the United States military is pretty much the only military on a global scale that can act on information, like where a target is, target it, and engage it. He said the Iranians have no. He said you could tell the Iranians exactly where an aircraft carrier was, and they wouldn't be able to hit it for two reasons. One, we have defenses against missiles. Obviously, we're shooting down a lot of them. So two, the aircraft carrier moves, and all the ships move. And your targeting information is by the time it comes from Russia, goes through the chain of command, all this type of stuff, the carriers are many miles away, so that it's old. And the carriers don't just go in predictable ways. I shouldn't say carriers, the carrier strike groups, they move around. They do this, they do that, they go this way, that way, they turn into the winds, they turn out of the wind, this kind of stuff. They're never in the same spot. You might know the general area, but when you're sending a needle somewhere, if you send a needle 1,000 miles to hit something, it's got to be, you got to know where they are. And remember, these things now, like I said the other day, modern missiles are going so fast, they have to start their explosion before they get to it. Otherwise, it goes through and comes out the other side, then explodes. And so they have to hit it exactly, a moving target from far away. Very, very difficult for people that don't practice that on an expeditionary scale like we do with an expeditionary force. So I found that to be very enlightening. So even if they share the intelligence, the U.S. is like, well, most of it's fake because we hacked their systems or feeding them false information to their satellites in space. So what if they shoot something else? It's going to go land over there. It's like, good point.
Very interesting.
But we'll have a lot of senators out there and House of Representatives like, getting their talking points out.
Well, it's interesting. Do you think, America, if they get upset enough, you think that they would actually go after potentially Russia forces? You think that we would?
No, but we could go after their monitoring assets. Like, if they actually did send, targeting information where an aircraft carrier group was, that satellite could suddenly go offline that they were using. We have hunter-killer satellites up there that can go around. It's not easy because, orbits around the Earth aren't quick to change. But we could go after their assets and, wouldn't even... we wouldn't announce that we've destroyed one of their satellites. Their satellite would just stop working. Just bzz, bzz, bzz.
Back
So
into free fall. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just one of those things. The Russia is out of assets. They're out of money. They're out of assets. They haven't been training their forces. They haven't been conducting drills. And the United States military drills with every other military on Earth. This ship we just blew up off of Sri Lanka, this Iranian ship, their newest destroyer, was actually in a military exercise over there that even the Americans participated in. We didn't have any boats in it, but we had some aircraft participating in it, and stuff like that. Obviously not working in concert with the Iranians, but we sure wanted to keep an eye on them. And then as soon as the boat leaves, we blow them up. But Pedro, did you see the video of the periscope video of the torpedo hitting that ship?
No, did not.
Oh my God! The story but it's the first time since World War II, since the day before the armistice was signed in Japan, that a United States submarine has sunk a ship in action. The British did it during the Falklands War, so that was I think the only other time. And the old days, so all we've seen is videos of torpedoes hitting ships in World War II. And there's an explosion on the side, and people are running around like, oh my God, let's get the fire, woo, woo, woo. The explosion from this torpedo that took out this ship, which was a significantly sized ship, blew off the whole front of the ship. That lifted the ship out of the water, and the whole thing just collapsed at once. It was it was an amazing display of explosive force. In fact, it was frightening. Frankly, if I must say, it was absolutely frightening. How powerful it. Yeah, it is unbelievable. It was really unbelievable.
That's interesting. I feel like America, it's been a while since we've really kind of show. I mean, just the fact is that this sounds horrible, but I'm actually looking forward to seeing the laser, like literally like Star Wars, like, or like just shoot through like the giant laser
lightsabers.
Yeah, like we're literally at that point, like, which is kind of crazy, but and. Like I said, I my heart I never want somebody to die. That's the best way to put it. I don't want people to die, but it's kind of cool to see. Like I hope we get to see when they start to really use the bullet or the laser bullets to like, like it just. I think it's gonna be cool.
I mean, imagine the whole arm. You just shine. The guy pulls out of his pocket, out of a laser out of his pocket, like a little laser pointer for school, and instead he aims it at a whole army. He just cuts them all in half, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of crazy. It's just the stuff that we've got actually going on. The other aspects of this war. What new technologies are they going to just develop to really kind of just make it more brutal in a sense, right? Like that's the other part that I'm like, But then out of that, I mean, the fact that they just told, Perplexity, hey, look, if you do not, go through and open up your AI to us, we're going to make you a terrorist group. And then they put him on that list, like boom, like right off the jump. And Sam Altman jumped on that dude like a crackhead on a bad habit, man. Like they just said, okay, yeah, you can use our AI. Like
it tells us something because it means they're using a proprietary, version of that. That's really effective for them.
Yes.
And they're gonna use it whether they want or not. They just don't want later them to sue and have some Biden era judge say, oh yeah, you broke the terms and conditions of using this. You can't use it for war. But you know what? But in a wartime, governments, especially the United States government, they can nationalize an asset. I mean, they can invoke the Defense Readiness Act or Defense Preparedness Act, whatever it's called. I used to participate in that all the time. We'd get orders from the Defense Department saying, this order is a rated order. It has to go first. It has to go first in your production. Where we're like, okay, it can go first, but it's still not going to be ready because it's not designed and all that. They're like, well, it needs to come off your production line. We're like, we can't just. That's not how this works, there, buddy. But we'd get the call from them, and this is a rated contract, and then we'd have to tell our other government contracts that we had other clients that worked for the U.S. government, like, hey, the Defense Department just came in and bumped you on the production line. They'd get so pissed. Oh my God, they'd be like, we need that shit too.
Well,
but they could do that. They can do that. They could nationalize, even temporarily nationalize Perplexity, even if they're a foreign company. They can say, we're going to seize your assets in the U.S. and run them for our needs, and there's nothing you can do. And you have to do it by law. By law, you have to do it, or we'll put your ass in jail.
Yeah, what's interesting is that reminds me of the Roman law, where they used to be, when Roman soldiers used to go in and be able to say to any common person who, you don't even have to be, I don't think if you were a Roman citizen you had to do it, but if you were part of their taking or their
lands. Conquest.
The land conquest. There you go. That if a Roman soldier was walking, he could see somebody walking on the street and be like, carry, and they actually had to carry it for like a mile, right? Or a certain amount of steps, and then they would just basically pawn off this stuff to, it almost feels a little bit like that, where just like America's like, yeah, we're taking this over, dude. Like, you just sorry, but not sorry. So I think that's really interesting what we're seeing in this world. And what I thought was really interesting is to see Sam Altman so quickly. I mean, as soon as that happened, you saw him jumping at me like, yo, I'll do it. Come on, let me up in this mix, right? Like, and like, part of me was like, why aren't they reaching out to Elon with his huge cluster? Like, or is that just already part of it?
Because Elon, behind the scenes, has always been helping the government without any controversy at all. He's like, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. I just know that when Sam Altman just right off the jump, without even a question, came in and was just like, yeah, let me get part of that. All right, you can have ours. Like, and quick. Like, so quick. Like, Perplexity, you screwed up. We're up in this mix. Which means that is Perplex. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought. Go ahead.
Is Perplexity's side weaker than, is OpenAI weaker than Perplexity, and the government wanted Perplexities? And when we look at the models and the test rates and everything that goes along with it, it is, Perplexity, Grok, those guys are really Gemini. They're the ones that's leading. So OpenAI, a few years ago was the top dog. Now they're falling behind. So a part of me almost wonders, like, do we have second or third best? Like, so it's really interesting.
Well, I can't remember the guy's name, the head of Perplexity. I saw him on a CNBC interview, and I've seen him before, and he was really nice, normal CEO, and then he was on this, and he just looked like one of those. It looked very disheveled this time, and just, I will say, out of sorts. And he was like, it's clear he's a raging liberal in the first place and doesn't support the administration at all. But he likes getting their money. But it's apparent that he's never been to a major defense show. And if he's going to sell his stuff to the military, he should go to a defense show. I'm sure his people have been, like someone that's worked for him has been to AUSA or Millipol or Eurosatory or one of the big defense shows of the world. And when you go to those shows, you realize that no matter how important you think you are in the world or how important your product is that there is cooler and more deadly shit on the planet. If he had gone there, he would have said, "Oh, my stuff is just like, there's things here that can kill whole cities, and that type of stuff. And my, not allowing the government to use my AI isn't going to affect that at all. I mean, the government's just like countries are going to get money and get at resources no matter what. Governments are going to conduct warfare no matter what, and they'll go right around. They'll go through you. They'll go around you. Whatever. And if you go to a defense show, you just can't believe the ways that have been invented to kill people, or frankly deny human life in areas of the world. And the Perplexity guy should go do that. You should go spend some time in the military shows. You'll realize A, how much money they're spending on the military, and B, that you essentially are insignificant, no matter how cool you think you are.
The insignificance, the size, I think it's because dude, we waste more money than what most countries spend on military exploits. Like the amount of money that we put, it's $1 trillion. And that's yearly. That's crazy amount of money that we put towards it, and now it's being upped. It kind of blows me away when I think about everything.
People just don't. They just don't have. unless you've been in the industry like I have, you don't really understand the vastness of it and the scope of the military-industrial complex, as they call it, and how powerful it is because it employs so many, not because it's evil. I mean, there's people that say, it's evil, they just promote war. It's not that they promote war, they promote problem solving with very intuitive ways to reach your goals, as they say. And they push that information on to the military planners, senators, congressmen, presidents, and so they understand that they can solve problems now that they didn't used to, like the bunker busting bombs that we developed 25 years ago. Started working on them 35 years ago, developed them 25 years ago, and practiced with them for 25 years just to be able to go in and hit that nuclear compound. And industry came and said, we can do this. And so they start planning for it. So it happens. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If the industry never said, we can launch a war in Iran, we don't have the logistics, we don't have the capability, we wouldn't have done it. But because they told the government, yes, we can make planes, I'm speaking in broad general terms here, that we can make planes that we can refuel others in the air, we can ship logistics, supplies, and fuel across the planet, we can target them, we can do this, we can down to the individual person in their bunker, we can find them. Then the planners go, let's do that. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy here, because we develop the capabilities, we end up using them because the planners say we can do it. If they never develop those capabilities, they don't think we can do it. So we don't do it. So when you go to these military shows, you see it, and you're like, fuck. Here's a good example. You know what the military shows are, Pedro? They're the charts. They are the charts. You look at them and you see what's being developed, and you're like, this is going to happen. And then the war happens. And you say, that's the news, because you see the chart, new tanks, new way to bomb somebody, new laser beams, new information warfare, and you're like, well, if they're developing it, it's gonna happen because someone's gonna use it, and that becomes the news, right? So it's probably the best way to say it. We had just a bunch of people pop us on X again. Welcome everybody. We've been talking about how the war. When the war started, how Bitcoin's hash rate dropped, and how the difficulty dropped as well because there was less hash. 10% went offline when the bombing started in Iran, just like when it did when we hit their nuclear bunkers. And it's led to a discussion about how Iran funds itself, how the Iranian Revolutionary Guard funds itself and can use $3 million a day. Let's just assume that's a correct number, or maybe twice as much as they actually get, but I don't know exactly. And then it led to a long and kind of geopolitical discussion about Iran and how to efficiently kill people, and how it happens. This is still is a financial show, so we want to take some questions from you people. If you have a question about what's going on in the markets right now, we talked earlier about crude oil, and it's just meteoric rise to $120 last night, $20 last night, and it's dropped today, of which I took advantage of nothing about it in trading because I wasn't trading. And now, went up to 120, now it's back down to $93.
What I think is also interesting is when you look at, we talked about how China's economy, I expected it to start dropping, right? Because of the slowdown of tariffs, what's actually happening, right? And at that time, this was in September, October of 2025, right? And we were, I believe it was this area here. And I kind of gave up on the thought that maybe they're going to just keep buying their stock market. But their stock market has now started to drop. I mean, it's below the 800 period moving average, the 400 period moving average. You have the 200-day period moving average. And this has all happened within the last, 6 months. It has been, you just see it just unfolding. And this hasn't really been talked about in the news cycle, two, what's actually happening in China. And I think a lot of that money, I do think that a lot of the stuff that we're going to see, we know that Iran's view on crypto was, they wanted it. They want crypto, right? We know that They had hash. And it's going to be really interesting to think that now that China's economy is also kind of starting to fall apart, we're starting to see things really unfold, and it's not being talked about. We used to talk about it all the time, but I couldn't stand our show keep just having issues and problems, so we just kind of stayed away from that. But I want to bring this up is that over the last 6 months, I mean, we literally saw it go from 34 all the way down to 26, okay, which doesn't seem like a lot, but we're talking, that's, I mean, on a $34 high of their stock market. Again, this is the PGJ, which is the ETF that I look at, right? It's called the Invest Golden Dragon China ETF, right? It's one of the ones, it's like a Dow Jones, or it's like the SPYs for SPY for the S&P 500, but it's for theirs, for China's stock market. And what I think is interesting is that we're talking an 8-point drop. Okay, that's almost 20+%. Like we saw that in the S&P 500. We're talking like everybody like, oh my goodness, the world's falling apart. Oh no, right? But right now it's not really being talked about here because I mean, America is kind of sticking it to China. I mean, it really are. There's a lot of proxy ways that we're just kind of just basically eroding the sand on the beach, so that it's just making it more difficult for things to actually happen for them, because they've had nothing but just open doors. And Iran, I mean, dude, I couldn't imagine. You know that they had to be paying and doing business in Bitcoin with China. I can't see them not doing it because they had no money. You know, right. Whether that was, you know, or maybe even not just Bitcoin, but, you know, besides Bitcoin, they were also mining probably Ethereum, mining a ton of other coins out there. I mean, the fact that we are seeing such a drop in Solana is one of those ones I'm like, was Iran part of them going through and mining that, you know? Like, it's just like one of those things I'm looking at going, it very much could be, you know, like we're seeing it now drop into that $65 area for Solana. So what other organizations?
65?
You know, yeah. Right now we're at 84, but it's looking weaker. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said it went to 65. I was like, I just looked at it an hour ago.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm seeing that 65 area becoming one of those. It's just kind of screaming at me that it's most likely going to come down to this area again and test that, just simply because we're not seeing a big push. We're not seeing a ton of volume come in. But either way, if we come and test that, I think it's going to be a good area to see. Are people going to buy it? Are we going to see large corporate entities come in, as well as, you know, if we keep bombing organizations, how many of those organizations are actually mining? You know, El Salvador was definitely mining.
Venezuela.
Excuse me, thank you. Venezuela was definitely mining. So we saw a drop off when they came in. You know, when they were taken out. We're watching now a few other people. So it's going to be really interesting to see as America takes over what is actually happening on the large scale of mining, especially Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the top 10, right? So it's going to be really cool to see what's happening. What are your thoughts, my friend?
Well, the crappy regimes of the world that are left are probably thinking, they can target our Bitcoin mining operations by, we have the coolest weapons. We have these missiles that go out and unfurl webs of carbon fiber that have little pieces of strands of whatever in them. And they just blanket a power. They don't have to blow up the power station. They just throw them over the transmission lines, and it shorts them out. Yeah. And it turns all the power off. You don't even have to blow them up. Just take them offline. You know, they obviously have to go fix a bunch of stuff, that type of shit. But we can turn off a lot of people's Bitcoin mining if we want to. Not by the old-fashioned way of hacking, but just taking their power plant offline. And so they got to be thinking like North Korea and stuff. You notice. Guy from North Korea has been very quiet lately.
Quiet. He's not. He is he's honestly the next guy.
Right.
Like, he's the next knucklehead. Like, you, please test us. That is an interesting thing. Yes, I saw that meme too across my page on Facebook.
Yeah, and when he said he saw like all the money Venezuela was spending to protect their head criminal, that none of that worked. And we just went in and went, thank you, we'll take you. He's probably thinking, oh shit. In fact, the only news that I've seen out of North Korea lately is that the potential successor to him would be his, I think it was his youngest sister. If for some reason his demise came. And the likelihood of his demise isn't from the U.S. coming capturing him. The likelihood is just a heart attack, because he's not a healthy gentleman.
He's a little thick. He likes to eat, pork and meat, and he's an eater.
Oh, what a discussion today. We are getting a little long in the tooth here, Pedro. I can't go that long today. I've got a lot to do on again with the misses. We just had our big annual conference last week, and there's a lot of accounting tie-ups to do with that I have to finish, and then I've got homework also for my class that I'm taking. Lots to do.
Understand. All right, my friend. Well, thank you for having me today, and it's going to be really interesting. We had a good little show. We got a little turnout on Rumble. I saw us get up to 16. I think we almost got up to 20. And we're seeing definitely some pickups. So to all you new viewers out there, thanks for watching us. You guys rock the mic. I don't care what people say about you. I think you guys are awesome. And either way, you guys rock the mic like Rama Lama Lama da Ding da Dang Dong. Let's go. Just a goofball here. Speaking of goofball, you know how much of Elvis was a goofball? You ever watch his stuff?
Just in the younger days, my mom and dad were big fans of Elvis and loved his TV concerts and all that.
Oh, great, dude! I'm like,
I used to watch him with him when he made the return to Vegas and sang American. What's the song? American Trilogy.
I don't know.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Bum, bum, bum. You get chills thinking about Elvis in his black suit and giant stomach hanging out. Glory, glory, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Dude, I heard how he died, bro. Oh my goodness.
Not a pretty thing. Ladies and gentlemen, stay away from the drugs.
Man, he didn't drink and do drugs. That was one of his primary things. It was actually I think the stress. He literally
he was abusing his body pretty badly for years.
I don't know. But I think it's interesting to watch what his shows are pretty funny. Not funny, but they were great, and he really made a show of it. And I was just watching, going like, huh. Look good. Yep, we're seeing it come through. Quick little before we go, let's finish up here real quick. I think it's real interesting. Recap. Look at BTC here. BTC seeing a sell-off. No, I'm joking.
I like how I get right to the end of the show. I got the music keyed up to end just at the right time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you today. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to probably another crazy week. Enjoy the crude oil spikes, and hope many of you day traders made your monthly goal on the first day of this week. Anyway, that's all we got for you today. Thanks for Mr. Hodes for coming by. Thanks for AI Wolf. Both of them got projects coming out. We'll talk to them sometime later in the week about those. For the rest of you, Pedro and I will be on. We'll be on tomorrow on Tuesday. Pedro's now available once again on Tuesdays. Is that right, Pedro?
Yeah, at least for now. So we'll see. All
right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for today. As always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking. So glad to host another episode with this great co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Kabam! Oh, you're not going to hear it.
Dude,
Oh,
I want to know who's the Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. Truth is coming too late.
Do you
I know
know
who the guy is.
who you are?
I forgot to turn the sound on for Kabam. Oh well, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is.
You are free to do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. You are free to do whatever you want.